Good morning and welcome. My name is Carrie Preston. I'm the director of Kilachand Honors College, as well as a professor in the English department and the Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies program at Boston University. Congratulations on your admission to BU and to Kilachand Honors College, and welcome to our open house event focused on the Kilachand Curriculum. I'll invite all of our panelists now to introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone, and congratulations, double congratulations again. My name's Joanna Davidson. I'm one of the associate directors at Kilachand Honors College, and I'm also an associate professor of anthropology and affiliated faculty in African studies.
Hi, everybody. Congratulations. Really glad to be here this morning with you. I'm Emily Hines. I'm one of the postdocs here at Kilachand Honors College. I specialize in American literature, and I teach at different levels in the curriculum.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Oros. I'm a biomedical engineering major in Kilachand Honors College, and I'm the class of 2022.
Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Sarkeesian. I'm a sophomore in the Questrom School of Business and I'm studying accounting.
Hi everyone, my name is Audrey. Congratulations on getting into the Kilachand Honors College. I am a junior studying economics and Russian language and literature in the College of Arts and Sciences.
Thanks so much, everyone. And thanks again for being here this morning. We wish we could welcome you to our space at Kilachand Hall, which you can see in the picture here for our typical open house event. But these virtual events will have to do for now. And in light of the pandemic, we hope that you and your loved ones are doing well. As I mentioned, we'll focus today on the Kilachand curriculum. We at Kilachand really devote ourselves to studying the major challenges we face across the globe. We hope to teach students the critical and creative problem-solving skills that will allow them to develop ethical solutions to these challenges. You'll see our mission statement here to offer a challenging liberal education. And by liberal education, we mean an approach to the undergraduate educational experience that promotes an integration of learning across the curriculum and co-curricular program between academic and experiential learning with a consistent emphasis on civic engagement, ethics, and values. The Kilachand courses fulfill the majority of our students' general education requirements. The general education program at BU is called the BU Hub. You'll be hearing about it quite a bit through your open house experience. All of the Kilachand courses do fulfill hub units, and alongside our students' majors and minors, which our students are majoring in every field across the university, so they're incredibly diverse. Alongside our students' majors and minors, the Kilachand curriculum does fulfill the BU Hub. Here you can see our 4-year curriculum map, and we're going to go through the courses, talk a little bit about them this morning, and then invite some of our faculty and students to speak to their experiences with these courses. So as you can see in the first year, all of our students take a first-year seminar each semester and a writing studio. I'll invite Dr. Hines to tell us about teaching the writing studio.
Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. I had to unmute. So I'm Dr. Hines, and I've taught the KHC Writing Studio for several years, and I've really enjoyed fostering a writing community amongst students in my studio courses as we explore big questions around ethics, art, and activism posed by work such as Claudia Rankine's The White Card, which is a play about the art world and racism in the art world, Ken Urban's A Guide for the Homesick, which is broadly about humanitarianism and its discontents, and Zadie Smith's Swing Time, which is about coming of age in London. In the first semester of Studio, we focus on developing analytical skills and argumentation, and hone those skills in the second semester when students delve into topics such as in a sustained research essay. So students in my course this semester are researching and writing about topics such as prison education and campaign finance law. I really enjoyed getting to know each student's writing voice and intellectual interest in frequent individual tutorial meetings where we meet to talk about their writing and sort of the progress in class and questions they might have about the material that we're investigating. And I've also really enjoyed getting to know them a bit more personally during our class trips to theater performances. So we've seen Ken Urban's A Guide for the Homesick, museum exhibits. We've gone to the ICA, or the Institute for Contemporary Art in Boston, to go see an exhibit on refugee and immigration artwork, and engage with that in class, as well as co-curricular panels that feature experts in their fields, really delving into the material that we discuss in class as well. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about Studio at the end of this discussion.
And Emily Oros will say a little bit about the student experience with our Studio courses.
Right, so Studio, as mentioned, is the writing course for KHC freshmen. You take that your first fall and your first spring semester. And I personally found this course to be really important for improving your reading, writing, and thinking skills, and making that initial jump from a high school level of all of these things to a college level. And I think the way Studio goes about this is really, really interesting because you have smaller class sizes compared to the typical college course. I think my year there were maybe 15, 20 or so students. And this allows you to really become comfortable with your fellow classmates as well as your professor. As mentioned, you will meet with your Studio professor a few times each semester in something called tutorials. And this is where your professor will really take the time to get to know you as a student, get to know your writing style, your strengths and weaknesses, and almost personalize a plan for how you're going to progress throughout the semester. And I think this class really challenged me to push my level of thinking in ways I never really would have on my own, and helped me grow so much as not only a writer and a student. So I think this is a really interesting opportunity to have as part of KHC.
So while our students are honing their critical writing and thinking skills, they are also taking a seminar, and these are incredibly diverse. Typically, I wish I were taking 6 of the seminars each semester, if not all of them. Here you can see our fantastic professor, Sophie Godley, who actually hails from the BU School of Public Health. And public health only offers graduate degrees. So Kilachand is one of the few places where students are able to study with faculty who are typically devoted to graduate students. For example, faculty from our School of Public Health, our School of Medicine, and our School of Law all are teaching Kilachand courses. Professor Godley's course is about seeing poverty and examines poverty historically, but also through different media, through film, photography, and creative writing. Professor Davidson has taught one of our first year seminars, so I'll invite her to talk a bit about that.
Thank you, Professor Preston. I want to just introduce the first year seminars kind of more generally, and then talk about the one that I have really enjoyed teaching. So typically these are seminars that are small in size, around 12 to 15 students, and the pedagogical style is really highly participatory, really engaged. So students get to know each other in their first year, and professors really have an opportunity to get to know students quite well. And they're taught, as Professor Preston said, by faculty members from across BU's schools and colleges who propose a topic that they're experts in, or they're really passionate about, and they want to teach it in an innovative way that might not fit within the confines of kind of conventional departmental approaches. So in addition to the Seeing Poverty course that you see on this slide, we've had first year seminars on the Pluto saga, taught by an astronomy professor, a course on anger, taught by a philosophy professor, a course called The Pursuit of Happiness, which was taught by a professor of rhetoric, and a course on reforming US healthcare, and that was taught by a professor of public policy and law. And I have been really privileged to teach a course that I call The Politics of Storytelling. And I love teaching it because it really gives me and the students an opportunity to take this kind of seemingly simple thing, a story, and explore it from all kinds of angles and dimensions. So we read texts from Arabian Tales, from the 1001 Nights, to Hannah Arendt's political philosophy, to Western Apache stories that tell us about the relationship between people and place, to neuroscience and narrative medicine and evolutionary psychology, all in this effort to try to understand why humans are storytelling animals. And then also how both historically and in contemporary times, storytelling is essential to political and social and moral goals. So it's been a really wonderful course to develop and to teach. I encourage you to look at our website under first year seminars and read about more examples of these courses. We're always adding more. And I agree with Professor Preston. Every time we get a new course proposal for a first year seminar, my first instinct is to want to enroll in it as a student.
So Rebecca, tell us a little bit about one of the first year seminars you took.
Yeah, thank you. The Kilachand seminars have been some of my favorite classes that I've taken so far at BU. My first semester, I took a seminar called A Reexamination of Childhood Through Children's Literature and Community-Based Learning. It was a really fun class. Being able to have reading children's books as my homework was something that was really fun in my first semester. We talked about everything from fairy tales up to modern picture books. And my professor for that class actually published a children's book during the semester that I took the class. So she was an expert on everything, and it was really great being able to both talk to her and to talk to the illustrator. We ended the class with a community-based learning project, and my team ended up collecting children's books for children at Boston Medical Center, which was a really unique experience, something that I'm really grateful to have been able to do during my first semester here. My second semester, I took a forensic anthropology class, which was very different from a children's literature class. So I think that just shows sort of the wide range of topics that are offered in seminars.
Thanks so much, Rebecca. So moving to the middle of our curriculum, in the second or third year, our students take a sequence of courses called Interdisciplinary Approaches to Global Challenges. Currently, the fall semester is focused on climate change, and the spring semester is focused on forced displacement. This is one of the courses I teach 302 in the spring. I'm currently teaching right now. And the argument of the whole sequence is really that we face these major challenges, and we're going to need to use the tools of every discipline to understand them, much less come up with solutions. So these courses are team taught. The climate change course includes, of course, scientists, but also professors of literature and rhetoric, a political scientist who regularly tells us that this is a problem of politics rather than a problem of science. In the spring, in the course that I teach with a biomedical engineer, pictured here, Professor Mohammed Zaman, and our students are understanding the facets of forced displacement that are also really the facets of being human. So we talk about gender and sexuality. We talk about race and the political processes of racialization. We have anthropologists on our team. We have lawyers on our team. This is a problem that spans every field and discipline. And our students at the end of the semester are put into interdisciplinary teams and asked to come up with a solution to a problem that they have studied through the semester. One of my students last spring is here with us, Audrey Hager, and among the amazing things that she did that semester, in addition to dealing with the switch in mid-March to completely remote teaching and learning, was take her project from our 302 course and implement it in a Palestinian refugee camp. So I'll bring in Audrey now to tell us a bit about that. I have to say, I couldn't have been more inspired by this work.
Thank you so much, Professor Preston. So I first just want to say that I was really excited to take 302 class because I'm really interested in international relations, but I wasn't able to fit any of those classes into my schedule. So it was really great that Kilachand really gave me this opportunity to explore more. And I was part of the focus group that was focused on the Palestinian diaspora, and my team and I created a project. Initially, it was just for the class. So we came up with the idea to have mental health workbook pages in a textbook. And then over the summer, three of my four other teammates, we ended up actually working with a Kilachand affiliated interdisciplinary program for forced displacement studies. And through this support, we were able to kind of get the ball rolling on our project. And we ended up partnering with the Palestinian Red Crescent Society, and they were able to help us bring our project to life and help create and distribute our workbook. And that was so exciting. And it was definitely all supported completely by Professor Preston and the class.
Thanks so much. Audrey already introduced our initiative on forced displacement, which is an initiative that Professor Zaman and I developed together, partially inspired by our experience teaching together in the 302 course on the refugee crisis. And IFD has launched several experiential learning opportunities where our students travel to Lebanon, Uganda, and Colombia, and work alongside university students in those countries to understand the crises of forced displacement that are ongoing in those countries, and to, again, develop projects that offer solutions. We have not been able to travel for a year, but we look forward to taking Kilachand students on these incredible experiential learning opportunities again soon. We also, of course, and it's crucial that we have our students working more locally. So ongoing is the Boston Area Health Education Center project. Our students teach high school students from the Boston Public School System about health careers. And this program is designed as a pipeline to introduce diverse students to health opportunities and to encourage them to enter those fields. Just this spring, we've also launched a new internship program focused on supporting students who are engaged with nonprofit organizations in social justice efforts. So also in the second and third year, our students take a course called Epistemologies and the Process of Inquiry. Professor Davidson is teaching that course right now, so I'll invite her to introduce it.
Okay, thank you. So Epistemologies and the Process of Inquiry, it's kind of a mouthful. It sounds like a heavy title, but what we really mean by it is that we want students to have an opportunity to understand various approaches to knowledge, really what is considered knowable, as well as various methods used in seeking knowledge across disciplines. So these courses are also team taught, and that's a unique aspect of courses at Kilachand, having these team taught classes. It's not a model that's really available to other schools and colleges at BU or at other universities. And it's typically, we come back to a smaller class size from the 301, 302 model, usually classes around 20 students, sometimes less, sometimes a bit more. And there's typically 3 faculty members, one from the humanities, one from social sciences, and one from a quantitative or natural science discipline. And so the faculty teams develop a 401 course around a specific topic or theme. So past examples of 401 courses include gun violence, digital lives. There was one in the fall on water, and another one on the fall, of course, on elections. And I'm currently co-teaching this course with a French film studies professor and an education professor who specializes in statistics, and I'm the anthropologist in the course. And our topic is borders. And we've taken a really broad approach to borders, not just focusing on kind of a nation state or political borders like the border between the US and Mexico, but also, for instance, borders between human and non-human animals, or the border between adolescence and adulthood, or the border between life and death. And we approach this topic through modules where each of the faculty members works with students to understand what would be an appropriate set of questions from our particular discipline in understanding and enriching our knowledge about a particular border. And then how would we answer that question through different kinds of methods. So while we're teaching these modules, students are working in small teams, typically like 3 to 5 students in an interdisciplinary team, and they're working to develop a research proposal on a topic of their choosing that's related to this broad theme of borders. So I'll just give you an example of one of the student teams in our current course. They chose to work on the border between humans and non-human animals, and they actually, inspired by our current COVID crisis, they wanted to think about zoonotic disease and how that really blurs and sometimes kind of transgresses that border between human and non-human animals. And instead of focusing on COVID, they wanted to take a more historical perspective. So they're focusing on rabies. And they're looking at rabies certainly from the scientific and medical perspective, but also looking at public health approaches, and then even looking at differences in attitudes and cultural kinds of practices that tell us something about the relationship between humans and non-humans in places where there have been rabies outbreaks. So it's a really interesting proposal. It's a really interesting approach to this topic. And the idea here is for students to be able to think about how to develop a really good question, how to think about methods that match their research aims, and then how to go about kind of conducting research on their topic. And hopefully that translates to the next stage of what they do at Kilachand, which is their senior Keystone project.
So that leads us right into the Keystone Proposal Workshop, which students typically take in their junior year, first or second semester. And I'll point out here that we have second or third year listed here in the curriculum map because we want flexibility for our students. Many of our students will take one of these semesters to study abroad, to do an internship, or to have a semester where they're not taking Kilachand courses and really focused on their majors or minors. So back to the Keystone Proposal Workshop. This is one of the courses that I teach, and I absolutely love it because we're in a small group of students, and largely I'm learning from the students. I'm learning about their fields and their interests and their proposals. I'm often not an expert in the area that they're developing their Keystone project. And so I get to learn alongside them. The proposal workshop takes students through the various phases of designing a year-long senior creative or research-oriented project, from literature review, gathering sources, developing a problem, question, or topic, writing that proposal, and developing a budget. We have support of $2,000 per student for their Keystone projects. Audrey's going to jump back in now and talk a little bit about the experience of developing a Keystone project through 451.
Yeah, so I thought I'm taking this class currently, and I think it's a really amazing way to kind of just get a jump start on starting your thesis, which is more difficult than one would think. And it definitely gives you kind of a push to find an advisor and start writing your proposal from a really early standpoint. And for me, I really enjoyed the class because there's, I think, 12 or 13 people in my class, and every time we meet, we talk about our individual ideas and projects, and it's super inspiring to see what everyone else is doing, and it's a really collaborative environment where we all give each other advice. My personal project is going to be about health economics. I'm going to be studying the impact of financial strain on cancer mortality, and I think that having the ability to take this class has just given me so much extra time and guidance. And I think I would not have gotten to the place where I am right now without the help of my professor and all of the tips and tricks that she's given me throughout the process.
Thanks so much, Audrey. So Audrey's preparing for this senior year, and a large part of our students' work in Kilachand is focused on those Keystone projects, but they're also taking a 2-credit seminar each semester. And Dr. Hines is currently teaching the senior seminar, so I'll invite her to jump back in and tell us a bit about that course.
All right, hi again, everyone. So in the people and process sequence in the senior year, students undertake an interdisciplinary examination of the lives of both prominent historical figures, so focusing on one figure for an entire semester, the first semester of their senior year. And some of those classes have included this past semester, Joan of Arc, Malcolm X, so really, really interesting and historical figures that you can, examine from different disciplinary lenses, whether that's history or anthropology or literature. And then the second semester of the people and process sequence focuses on less well-known people and who have had significant impact and influence on others' lives, and sort of poses the question, how do we understand their influence on the world and sort of their life's course? So through these investigations, students also reflect on their own identity formation and future paths and potentially, the impact that their choices and work will have on other people as well. So for example, recently in my senior class this semester, students have been interviewing an influential person in their life of their choosing and actually created podcast episodes about that person's educational experiences, considering how identity, factors such as race, class, gender, nationality, among many other things, shape their life course. And so it's been really great to hear about these different important people and to see the thought that and the carefulness with which students have approached really giving a thorough profile of that person over in the podcast medium. Students also prepare for the Keystone Symposium and are supported in their research and sort of development of their projects in the people and process sequence. So in class, we often check in about their project's progress. They workshop components of their research with other students. And right now, actually, we're practicing presenting, giving their presentations with our eyes focused on the symposium, the Keystone Symposium at the end of the semester. So they're really preparing and rehearsing for that final presentation. And it's been really amazing and special to watch students flourish as interdisciplinary researchers and kind of come into their own with these projects, but also to see them, interact as interlocutors with their peers and support each other and really be in this conversation together in the senior course. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Dr. Hines. On the screen here, you can see a couple of images of our Keystone Symposium where students present their work, and we're gearing up for that now. It's typically the last Saturday in April. And I see that Nikita Sethi has been able to join our panel. She's preparing for graduation and probably deep in the final stages of her Keystone project. So we'll let her say a little bit about that experience.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I think that, I don't know, as a senior who's kind of like on the other side of my Keystone project largely, the Keystone project is really just a great opportunity to kind of explore something that you're interested in with the resources and support of Kilachand behind you. So I'm an economics major, and I'm doing a project on the lived experiences of low-income students, which is kind of like a sociology education project. And I never would have had the time and the resources to do this kind of longer drawn out qualitative study if I hadn't had the Keystone project as a pathway to like explore this passion and create like a resource for incoming low-income students, which is something that I'm really passionate about. So the Keystone project is very exciting, and you can kind of make it whatever you want and make the most of it. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Nikita. While students are taking their courses in Kilachand throughout the 4 years, we also have a co-curricular component to their requirements. And these are incredibly diverse events, from panels to experiences at museums, or traditionally we've had a spring visit to the Boston Ballet. We often build co-curricular events from the curriculum. So what you see on this slide is advertising for a mini residency by Dr. Shamel Bell, who was one of the original organizers of Black Lives Matter in Los Angeles, as well as a collaborator on the film The Hate You Give. So Shamel Bell came and was invited to Kilachand as part of one of our first-year seminars called Race in America, which was team taught by a historian and an English professor. Dr. Bell visited the class. We went to a screening of The Hate You Give with Dr. Bell, who talked about what it was like to make that film, and also gave us a dance class as part of this residency. So this is an incredibly diverse series of events. But we also have many events that students suggest and organize, and they change every single semester. The goal is to build from the curriculum, get students interested in topics that are of great relevance, but may not be part of our students' usual coursework. And it's an incredibly exciting opportunity also to build our living learning community. Many of these events take place in Kilachand Hall, where our first year students live. This is just a quick overview focused on the Kilachand curriculum. If you have questions, I encourage you to talk to one of our fantastic Kilachand ambassadors. You've met a few here this morning, but you can visit our website listed here and read more about our ambassadors and get in touch with one of them if you have questions. And of course, any of us are happy to answer questions from the Kilachand staff and team. I'm very happy to invite you this Saturday to the virtual premiere of an original musical called Already Home, written and directed and then virtually staged by one of our fantastic seniors, Issa Berry, as part of her Keystone project. Of course, Issa was all geared up to do an in-person performance, but like so many of our students this challenging year, she switched gears with incredible creativity and ingenuity and resilience. And this virtual performance, I think, is going to be pretty incredible. There was even choreography via Zoom for you to see. So feel free to join us on Saturday to celebrate the launch of this musical. As I said, there are lots of other open house events. You should find them all in your BU portal. Go there and register. We'll have an event on Thursday about advising and student support run by our incredible team of advisors. Next week on our Living Learning community, then a focused session on the Kilachand Keystone project and experiential learning opportunities that we just touched on today. And finally, and probably best of all, an opportunity to just talk with our students at the final event, a closing student panel. We do have some time now to answer your questions, so feel free to send them to us via the Q&A function, and we'll answer just as many as we can. One question I'll ask any of our students to jump on: what is the social life and social experience of being a Kilachand student? What's that like for you? Go ahead, Nikita.
I say I can speak to this again, just kind of like as a senior on my way out, reflecting back on my freshman year. It was really nice to have Kilachand as a smaller community within BU. And you get really close to the people who are living on your floor in the Kilachand building. and you're attending seminars and studios with these people, and you kind of see the same faces a lot. So it feels like a smaller community. And then obviously the Kilachand advising staff and administrative staff and everybody is in that office that's in the same building. And so it's really easy to stop by and just build community. And like even now I still Zoom with the academic advisors to just pop in and chat. So it's really just nice to have Kilachand as like a home base at BU.
That leads us to another question thrown into the chat, which asks about how living at Kilachand Hall freshman year might be different from living in one of the other freshman residencies. All of our students here, of course, lived in Kilachand Hall their first year and then had the option of living elsewhere on campus or in the Kilachand House, which is a brownstone a few yards away from Kilachand Hall. Any thoughts from our student crew about what it's like living in Kilachand Hall and maybe how it's different from other living options at BU? Go ahead, Emily.
I can speak a little bit about this, I guess. So I think I'm gonna just start listing off things I remember really enjoying about living in Kilachand Hall my freshman year. And to start off kind of basic, I mean, the dorms are really, really nice. You live in pretty spacious dorms with up to 3 other people in suite style living, so you get your own bathroom. And kind of similar to what Nikita said, but your roommates oftentimes you might find in your classes. So it's a good opportunity to come back from those classes and almost have friends right by your side to constantly discuss class information or work on homeworks together. Same idea is that Kilachand Hall has a 9th floor study lounge and a common space on the 1st floor that students use to study or just socialize. And again, it's really easy to find your fellow classmates just sitting around working on homework or studying, and you can start to make more friends with your classmates. And I think one more thing is because your academic advisors' offices are in the same building, it is significantly easier to, when we were in person, to pop down and pay a quick visit to them, or even some of the KHC professors, like your studio professors, who also have offices right in the same building. So overall, it just makes it easier to get the help you need and meet some of your classmates.
We've had several questions in the Q&A about study abroad. Would any of our students, have you studied abroad? I think so. No, none of our students in this panel have studied abroad. Okay, well, I will say that we highly, highly encourage it, and many of our students at BU do study abroad. Of course, that wasn't an option during the pandemic, but we are learning that study abroad opportunities are available beginning next year, and I think even more in the following years. Typically, our students choose to study abroad in their sophomore or junior year, and there's flexibility in the curriculum to enable that to happen. And there are many, many study abroad programs at BU for you to choose from. The Kilachand abroad programs, which I mentioned earlier, as part of the interdisciplinary program on forced displacement studies, are fully supported by Kilachand, and these are short courses, typically 3 weeks abroad, focused on a refugee crisis in a specific area. So some of our students who haven't made time in their schedule to study abroad or found it difficult for various reasons have been able to do those 3-week courses with us, and often get an interesting study abroad experience that way, although in a compressed time frame. I see some questions in the chat about what we're expecting the fall to look like in light of the pandemic. So throughout the year, our students have had the option to learn in person in many of their classes or to learn completely remotely. And In the fall, the plan is to be teaching all classes in person, to be fully back on campus, and to be residential again at Boston University. So we very much hope that that will be happening for us. And we look forward to, again, having students in and out of our offices. One of, I think, the most fun things about having my office in Kilachand Hall, where our first year students live, and where a lot of our students also have courses, is that we have a gigantic coffee machine in the office, and our students come in, especially in the morning, but throughout the day, to get a cup of coffee. And it's the perfect opportunity to chat with them about what they're taking, how their semester is going, to follow up on a question that was raised in class that I wanted to touch base on. And that life, that liveliness in our office is one of the things I miss most this year, when we are de-densified and so much of our living and learning is remote. So a couple of questions about how students choose the seminar classes they take in a semester, or are they chosen for them? Any thoughts from our students about choosing seminars?
I can speak a little bit to this. So I remember in my freshman year, I took the Pluto Saga in the fall, and then I took forensic anthropology in the spring. And I really wanted to choose something that would, one, expose me to something new that I wouldn't normally take in my major classes, as well as help fulfill some of my hub units that might be a little bit more difficult to fulfill later on. And so I got to take the Pluto Saga, which I wasn't originally, like, I didn't, have a super major interest in astronomy, but I just thought it would be super cool. And we got our own telescope, and it was so amazing. It was one of my favorite classes. So I think you just kind of have to see if you have a little bit of an interest in something and kind of go running with that, because you're going to learn so much and probably fall in love somehow with the topic.
Anyone else want to jump in about how they chose their first year seminar?
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. So one of the first things I did when I was deciding to come to BU was planning out the courses that I was going to be taking for my major and for Kilachand. And so when I did that, I found out that Kilachand and Questrom were going to fulfill almost all of my hub credits just from the required classes. And then I actually ended up choosing my seminars based on what hub credits I still needed to fulfill. So that's how I ended up with sort of the very sciencey forensic anthropology class, and then, the children's literature class that I spoke about earlier, which were both topics that were really interesting to me. And so I definitely would recommend that. I think Audrey talked about that too, about fulfilling hub requirements and taking stuff that's very different from your major.
Great, thanks so much. A question from Annabelle: how do KHC students fit in Kilachand courses with courses from their primary area of focus? And this student is interested in going into pre-med. Do we have any pre-med students in this group? No, we have. I will say that we have many pre-med students at Kilachand. I think public health and medicine end up being primary interests. And one of the reasons I think that is so, in addition to the fact that we have incredible faculty from the School of Public Health and from the medical campus, including the professor who teaches the forensic anthropology course. He is from the medical campus. But I think medicine is so interdisciplinary and brings together the humanities and sciences, as well as the desire to care for other human beings and solve problems. So I think that's one reason that many of our students do end up going into medicine. The larger question, oh, go ahead, Nikita.
I was just going to interject as far as like balancing pre-med with Kilachand. I'm going to kind of like bring in one of my best friends here because she's a biomedical engineer and also pre-med. And she also studied abroad in her junior year, and she's also graduating from Kilachand. And she has like found a way to balance it and really just like love her time in Kilachand. And she often cites the Kilachand classes as kind of like a respite or like just like something to kind of relax from like the hard sciences that she's going through all the time. And a time to see those friends that she made her freshman year and check base with that like home base. So yeah, it's definitely possible. And she's also wonderful and like superwoman, but.
So many of our Kilachand students are, I feel, just superhuman in the diversity of their interests, the curiosity they bring to courses and different fields. I think that is a prevailing characteristic of our students. They may be really determined about their pathway to a career, but they want to explore broadly. And that's what Kilachand encourages and in fact requires through the choice of seminars, but also through the curriculum for all 4 years.
Can I just add a quick thing to that? Because I think, whether it's pre-med or whether, I think there's a question about dual degrees, double majors, a lot of students come into Kilachand and into BU and other universities these days with very ambitious plans, right, to try to kind of fit a whole lot of things in. And I think, one of the advantages of Kilachand is that we have this just top-notch advising team that helps from day one, even from before you get here, help students think about how to plan for that and how to think through all of these sorts of choices, right? And I regularly hear this wonderful line from our advisors that at Kilachand and at BU in general, it's possible to do anything, but it's not quite possible to do everything. And that's where you have to sort of figure out what your choices are and how you balance that and what your priorities are in developing what we really advocate for, which is a kind of a balanced approach to your education that lets you have different sorts of inputs, different sorts of experiences that will ultimately equip you with all kinds of ideas and information and tools, no matter what you end up doing afterwards. So we're really fortunate to sort of advocate for this sort of lofty goal and then have the advisors to actually help you kind of carve your path to achieving all of that.
Yeah, I will reiterate how amazing our advisors are in guiding students through the experience. And one of the reasons that is, we have students from every school and college across BU. So our advisors have worked with students to plan hub pathways to fulfill general education requirements, but also major and minor requirements in the various schools and colleges. And so they have this view of Boston University that probably nobody else at the university has, an incredible knowledge. So they're able to connect our students to resources that often their major advisors are not aware of. So because we have such diverse students, we have, for example, engineering students who are passionate about photography and want to take a CFA class in photography. And our advisors are very willing to work with students to figure out what that course should be and how to fit it into their schedule, and often even how it will fulfill hub units for our students. So that's a really remarkable thing. There is an entire session on advising coming up. So I encourage you to join us for that one. But typically you will have an advisor in your major, in your school and college alongside your Kilachand advisor. So you have several layers of support. And I would say one of the great benefits of being in Kilachand is that focused attention and support system right from the beginning, with those advisors living downstairs from you, you're living upstairs. It seems like they're living in their offices often, but they don't technically live there. They're just there a lot and meeting with our students very, very regularly. A question just came in about whether or not this is recorded so that they can, so that you can watch it later. Yes, all of our open house sessions are recorded and will be available on our website for you to watch if you miss one of the sessions, but really want to watch it later. It will be there for you. We have just a few minutes left, so please ask your questions if you have them. And I'll invite everyone on our panel to give a few parting words of advice to seniors who are facing a difficult decision as well as incredible opportunities. So feel free to jump in whenever you think you have your words of advice.
So I'll just pop in with a thought here, and I'm thinking about this both from a faculty perspective, from a parenting perspective. I have a high school daughter, not yet applied to college, and my niece is actually making the very decision that you all are making right now, trying to decide what college to go to. And you hear this a lot, and I'll just repeat it in our sort of Kilachand way of thinking about it, that this is a lot about match, about what the right match is. There's no objectively right decision about where you should go and what you should do, but really you need to think about what's the best match for you as a student, as a person, as the way you want to grow in your college years. And I think the best match for Kilachand is a student who's really intellectually curious and willing to kind of push themselves, take the kinds of academic and intellectual risks to go beyond their comfort zone, to go beyond what they're familiar with. You can major in whatever you want to major in and focus on that, but Kilachand gives you the opportunity to think beyond the kind of confines of a disciplinary or a departmental box. And so the students who really thrive at Kilachand are ones who are kind of eager to learn more and different things inside the classroom, outside the classroom, with their friends, getting to know their faculty members in different classes. And that's the kind of environment that we foster. And I think if that sounds like you, then I think you'll have a really great experience at Kilachand.
Yeah, just to jump in and echo Professor Davidson a little bit, I think that exactly that students who are really interested in challenging themselves outside of the box and thinking about these issues in a lot of different interdisciplinary ways is great. And also just thinking about the match with the community itself. Like Kilachand is full of students who are working together, collaborating, asking each other questions, supporting each other. And that is really the cornerstone of a lot of the work that we do together. And similarly, like, you know, the team of advisors, the team of faculty, like we are all in the community with students and get to know each other very well and sort of have an intellectual exchange and social exchange. So if that also sounds like something that will be exciting to you, come join us.
I would say just congratulations. I know it's a really big decision deciding on where you're going to be attending in the fall. One of the things that I think I tell everyone about how I made my decision about BU was I didn't feel like BU was a place that I was going to just go in day one and like master everything, but I thought that BU was a place that I was gonna grow and learn a lot and be challenged a lot. And I definitely think that now, almost 2 years in, that's true. I think that I've grown so much at BU, and, you know, Kilachand has provided me like the small community feeling that has given me the support to really take advantage of all of the resources that BU as a large institution has to offer.
I can go ahead. So I know this is definitely a really stressful time. I think Kilachand is an amazing place to, as everyone has said, to grow, learn as a person, to have the small community feel. And I also just want to say that, you know, wherever you go, I think you have to just, you can make the most of wherever you go. So don't be too stressed about making the right or wrong decision, because I know I was like super stressed about it, but now as a junior, I kind of look back and think that I did not need to have that amount of stress on my shoulders. So everyone is going to do amazing no matter where they go, but Kilachand's an amazing place.
I don't know if any fellow people who have, you know, who might be incoming to the Honors College can relate to this, but I feel like they can, is I tend to overthink things a lot. And so just thinking back to my senior year, I remember overthinking kind of everything and getting very scared about things. And if you're scared about things, just lean into it. It's good. It probably means you're about to grow and change, but try to think a lot about like community fit and kind of what you want from the curriculum, and anything you're scared of, it's going to work out. You're a very strong, capable person, and life has a way of working out.
I think going off of what Nikita said real quick, definitely if you are trying to plan out your college years and you're thinking of a variety of different things you want to do and you're wondering, how am I going to touch upon all of these? What am I going to do? I think KHC is a really interesting opportunity to try and explore all of those things, because I know when I made my decision to come into KHC, I was hyper fixated on being this biomedical engineering major and that's all. And my only like interests were math and science. And now I'm here as a current junior, having taken anthropology courses, poetry courses, all the studio writing courses, and whether or not those fall into my range of interests, they've all given me a range of skills that I never would have gotten otherwise. So I think if you're looking to just gain more skills or take other classes for fun that you don't think you could fit into your schedule otherwise, KHC is a great place to kind of figure out what you really want to do.
That's fantastic advice. Thanks, everyone. And we didn't prepare that. That was just a moment of send your advice in. So I think it was heartfelt and honest in the moment. We hope that you've learned a bit about Kilachand this morning and that your curiosity is piqued. So you'll join us for future open house events. And above all, stay well, take good care, and hope to see you soon.